Shalom, everybody. This is the continuation of the video series on the book It Was a Riddle, Not a Command, and we're on chapter 21. This chapter is called The Moon Below Her Feet. So prepare for a doozy. There's a lot here. There's a lot to take in. So I'm just going to try to summarize what I read. So we know that Yom Teruah, or the Feast of Trumpets, as it is known, is on the first day of the month. And what we're trying to prove, not actually prove, we know that it's determined by the new moon, but what we need to show, we need to prove, pardon me, get a sip of water. What we need to prove is the new moon based on a conjunction? Is it based on a conjunction new moon? Or is it based on the sighted crescent moon? That's what we have to determine. So basically, most of the information in this chapter is from a book from Ernest Martin. The book is called The Star That Astonished the World. And it is pages 82 to 90. So essentially, he refers to Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 to 5. And what we read here is that there's a lot of symbolism here. And the symbol here specifically to this chapter is a woman. And a woman who is in heaven and has the sun and moon associated with this woman. So the important factor is specifically, this is what it's talking about. The sun will clothe her, so meaning to be in the middle of her, covering her middle section, midsection, from between the head to her knees, I guess. And and the moon will be at her feet, or under her feet, under her feet, and the 12 stars on her head. Those are the three signs in regards to the woman. So back then, people the world over understood the constellations in the same way. I think we went over that in the previous video. So Virgo is the one we're looking at here. That's the constellation we're looking at. So there is a space of time in which this could be possible. The only time where the sun could be located between 150 to 170 degrees, where it coincides with the woman's body. It happens during a 20-day period each year. 20-day period. So the sun would have started in this area of that constellation Virgo, around August 27th on the year 3 BC, and it would exit that constellation, that area of the constellation, around September 15th. So Yehoshua would have to be born within that 20-day period, if the book of Revelation is talking about Yehoshua. And that's what we do believe, or at least that's what this book is showing. So in her hand, she's got a branch, in her right hand, green branch, in her left hand, a sprig of grain, okay? I'm not sure what that's showing there. Okay. He's saying here that Virgo, Mr. Martin is saying Virgo is the constellation of headship for all the 12 signs of the zodiac. And what he's saying here is also that the story of Yehoshua and his mission on earth were related to these heavenly symbols, the zodiac, which would logically begin with his birth from a virgin and would conclude with him being crowned king in the final zodiac sign of Leo the lion. That's pretty interesting. We're already 5 minutes in, okay. So once again, we talked about the 20-day period where the sun would have to be in the middle of the body of Virgo, August 27 to September 15. This would also fit with what Luke said, that that would be during the 8th course of Abijah. That also falls within August 27 to 15. Let's just double check, yeah. Okay, so that would be the 7th, yeah, Tishri. That would be the 13th month. So you'd have to look at the calendar and compare calendars there. So the key is the moon now. You can actually look and determine almost to the exact hour when Yehoshua was born. So the position of the moon in this instance would have to be at the feet of Virgo. It would have to be positioned 180 to 187 degrees along the ecliptic. I'm not sure what that means, but along the ecliptic. It has to be in that exact location under her feet when the sun is mid-body to Virgo. So in that year of 3 BC, in that year, there are two factors that would have to come into agreement. Like we said, the sun and now the moon. So in that twilight period of, they're saying it's September 11th of 3 BC, from 6:15 p.m. sunset and until 7:45 p.m. moonset. That is the only day in the whole year that what is described in Revelation 12 could happen. So another important point, it's probably the most important point, but the moon was in what phase during this time? And they can go back using this software that they have to, I believe it's software, to determine that. And what they found was that it was actually in the crescent phase. It was a new moon crescent. So ordinary people in modern times who were not professional astronomers, they had little knowledge of these kinds of things, heavenly bodies and stars, but people from the 1st century up until the Industrial Revolution were actually well aware and well acquainted with them. But even people today have, those who are professionals, so-called professionals in these studies, are not as knowledgeable as the common folk back then. So someone from that time would instantly recognize when they read Revelation 12 that no, this is not talking about a literal woman, it's talking about the constellation Virgo as it relates to the sun and the moon. And of course, literally, Miriam, who was a virgin, gave birth to Yehoshua. So this combination of celestial factors, of the sun and the moon, as described in Revelation 12, could only happen on that one day of the year, September 11th. If it was on September the 10th, the moon would have been located above her feet, which won't fit the criteria, and the crescent would not be visible either. If it was on September the 12th, the moon was too far away beyond her feet, at least 25 diameters of the moon east of her feet. So only one day applies. That would be just after sunset on September 11th. And this new moon is also describing the new moon announces the new month. And what month was that? That was the 7th month, which is Yom Teruah, which is very significant, with the trumpet blowing and announcing of the king. Basically, when trumpets blow, that is to indicate the king is coming or has arrived. We still continue that tradition even many centuries later in medieval times and things like that. So there's 3.5 pages from 82 to 90 of the star that astonished the world. There's a computer image which uses the Julian calendar, and it when you plug in the year 3 BC, which is -2 in Julian years, because there's a discrepancy as to how they calculate that in the Gregorian versus the Julian calendar. There's no year 0 in Gregorian years, so you have to -3 BC would actually be 2 BC. When you do that and you put in the 7th month on the first day, you will notice this is what you see. I'm going to just show it to the video there. There's a constellation. You see the feet, and then just below it, I can't see that too well, but below it right there is that's where the moon would be. So it is below her feet instead of past her feet or over there. It's right exactly where it needed to line up. And then this is what the moon looked like on that day. What phase was that? New moon. The new crescent. So it's quite remarkable that they were able to find out the day using the software and the hour as well. There's a lot of books about this. I just want to also mention that Mr. Wadsworth was contacted by the author, Joseph Dumont. Mr. Wadsworth is a biblical astronomer, and he confirmed these findings of Mr. Martin. Many planetariums around the world have made changes to their planetary shows based on the findings of Mr. Martin. That's a big thing. So there's other books on the subject. I'll just show them to you there. If you can pause your screens. See that right there. So there's also a software programs you can download. One called Dance of the Stars, and there's another one called Starry Nights. You can find that at starrynight.com. 2 R's, and then you can prove that yourself and find out the conjunction there. It was, in fact, on September 9, there was no moon visible. September 10th was a 1% moon, which was very difficult to see. And then it was not yet below the feet of Virgo. Additionally, September 11th, you had a 4% visible crescent moon, and this is the day where the moon was below the feet of the constellation Virgo, exactly, precisely, accurately as Revelation chapter 12 had stated. So these are the facts about the birth of Mashiach on Yom Teruah in 3 BC. We've just shown you proof about the new moon is begun by the new crescent moon. And as you may or may not know, each month is either 29 or 30 days in length. It takes the moon 29.5 days to travel around the earth, and there's no such thing as a half day, so each month is either 29 or 30 days. in length, and you subtract the half day each month. This is why no man can know the exact day when the crescent moon will be sighted. Will we see it on the 29th or the 30th? No one really knows for sure in advance. The exact time the moon will be sighted after the sun sets is another variable. If the haze is not too thick, or the clouds, or there are no clouds, then sometime between sunset and moonset, you will see the crescent moon, the sighted moon. We just really don't know when or what time exactly, and this now proves just how true the veracity of that Hebrewism that was spoken of by Yeshua, Matthew 24, which he said, and I repeat, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. No one can really know when the new moon will appear, what day and what hour, but we know when he returns, he will return on the new moon, the crescent moon, on the 7th month, on that first day. You just don't know when it's going to happen, but we can look for it. That's what he said, right? Watch. So next is chapter 22, born on the Feast of Trumpets. So shalom, God bless you and protect you, and thank you for watching. Thank you.